Hello, Colts Nation. Primetime game. Welcome back
Yes,
to
sir.
the No Horsing Around podcast. As always, we are two dudes talking Colts. We're your hosts, Steven and Zach. And primetime game, we get to give an instant reaction to a Colts win.
Oh man, Steven. Come on. After that last primetime game, oh brother. Michael Pittman Jr. rips the freaking ball out of the air and seals that football game. So many things to like about that game, right, Steven? The way that they won, the fashion that they played, in the weather that they played in, you know, that's the rainbow right there, man. They were out there and it was just slipping and sliding, balls popping out, going everywhere. Man, super excited about that win. Just give me some of your instant reactions and just your thoughts, and then we'll talk about what we liked, and maybe there might be a couple things that we didn't like, but overall, I think we both have the same sentiment. We liked a lot about this game.
That's my first reaction,
Yeah,
man. Is just man. It was such an it was such a just it was not a pretty game. It was an ugly game to watch. It was kind of a hard game to watch.
yeah,
It was kind of like 1980s esque football to where it was, you're gonna have to run the ball. You definitely, we talked about it on the preview show with Tony. He was the first one who brought up the weather to us, and it was definitely a factor. You heard on the broadcast they had 12 extra balls for
yeah.
after half, which in my kooky mind, I was sitting there going, if we can go score before half, fresh balls means you could come out throwing the ball
I
because
agree.
you're going to have better grip. But you definitely, it's the first time I have watched a Colts game since probably the Snow Bowl in Buffalo, where the weather 100% impacted the way you played the game. But my first reaction was just because
Yeah.
earlier in the day, obviously you see the Titans just undress the Chiefs. And
Yes.
now this game next week is massive, and you had to keep pace.
Yep. I agree, Stephen. A huge win for our season. I don't know that we're playing for necessarily AFC South, quote unquote. We're playing for a playoff spot at this point. Any way we
Mhm.
can get in, win and get in, and then crazy things happen. We're starting to string some wins together. And this is the first time we beat a football team I feel like is well coached, and their level of talent is a little bit higher than, obviously the Texans like we played last week. Things I like, man. There's a whole lot to like. You got to start with the fact that Frank Reich, although the weather was limiting what his playbook could be, he was still aggressive. He took full advantage of those pass interferences, man. Those were, for all intents and purposes, those were chunk plays. That's no
Mhm.
different than throwing the ball 40, 50, 60 yards down the field, getting the ball on first and goal. I loved the grit that we played with. I thought Chris Reed had another great game. I know he and Glowinski kind of rotated a little bit, but Reed got the lion's share. He played a little bit more than Glowinski, especially, second quarter on. Love Jonathan Taylor. That dude just continues to just amaze me. He comes out, very first carry, fumbles the football. You could tell it was eating him alive just to get back out there. But what's he
Mhm.
do? He responds with a 100-yard football game and a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing bigger than that. Um, I love the fact that we threw the ball when we had to, and we trusted Carson Wentz to make the right play. This wasn't beautiful at first, Steven. The ball was going crazy. They had some interception options. Carson settled down as this game went on, and you got to believe it's that as that wind kind of calmed down, second quarter for the rest of the game, he started playing a little bit better brand of football.
Yeah, and that's probably my second one. Not to steal what you said. Jonathan Taylor, defense played well.
Yeah,
Outside of the one drive near the tail end of the game where they kind of got back in there, defense looked good. Obviously, and I've got my DeForest Buckner shirt going tonight too for the
yeah,
game. He played like you wanted him to play. Two things that my gut right away. Two things. Michael Pittman Jr. is you just saw him become the number one wide receiver.
yeah.
Absolutely.
That's coming
If
out
you didn't think
hard.
it already, he is the number one wide receiver on this team.
Yeah,
He plays with such grit, and he's fearless, man, when he gets the ball. And then my second observation is I don't want to hear any more talk when it comes about Carson Wentz. You're right. He definitely didn't have his best game, but he made the right choices. He made timely runs. I would still, the fan in me is like, please God, get down. But
Yeah.
then then the Colts fan, kind of that overarching is go get the yards. And he did it. He took a really big hit. But I mean, he's playing well. He's playing, we talked about it in the preseason and in the offseason when they signed him was, could Reich do what he did with Rivers and what he did with Luck before that and minimize the turnovers? What is it? 10 touchdowns, 1 interception on the year at this point?
Yep.
Because they took the one away. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but I mean, it was pretty close with it.
Hey,
But
we'll take it.
it, it's one of those ones that if you play fantasy football like Jason was saying, I'm sure he's sitting there going, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Stephen, we got to point out, I mean, at this point, 4 years into your career, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody better at punching the football out than Darius.
oh my God.
Like, I mean, it's coming every single week. He has a reputation for it, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. I think he's one of those players that you don't understand how long his arms are, and you don't understand just how good he is at punching that ball out until he's done it to you. You look up and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm empty-handed. The man just punched it out on me. And he's amazing, man. I mean,
yeah.
He's gutting it out, and he's having a hard time with, moving sideline to sideline and being as fast as he normally plays. But when he does get around the football, this is how he's contributing to the football team. Mm-hmm. He's punching the ball out, and he's turning the football over. I like the fact that our defense gave up a terrible drive at the end of that game, and I know all Colts Nation was thinking to themselves, oh my gosh, is this the Ravens game? Here we go again. Is this going to happen? But what happened? Our defense responded. Kari Willis got that big interception to kind of seal that game. Jimmy G was Jimmy G. We talked about it on the preview show with Jason. We just want Jimmy G to be Jimmy G. We want him to make some of these plays that he's known for making, especially late in the game. I mean, I've said it before on other podcasts. I've said it on our podcast. The guy has a tendency to piss down his leg, man. I mean, he just does when in the big moments and in the crucial moments. He makes bad decisions. And I can see why some of the 49ers fans are kind of maybe ready to move on, into that next era with Trey Lance. But lots to like, man. I mean, we're just I'm on this high right now, man.
Yeah.
It just so excited about our football team that we're winning a football game. And my mindset moving forward is I'm not thinking about the conference necessarily. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm 1-0, man. I want this podcast to keep going 1-0. I want to keep on talking about wins, and let's just stack them, man. Let's just keep on playing. Let's keep on stacking them. And when the season's over, let's see where we're at, man. Let's see if we're in the playoffs or not.
Yeah, I mean, and we're giving instant, so we don't want to go too much, but I mean, big, huge shout out to Xavier Rhodes too for pulling up lame kind of in the pregame and the way he did come back. That his pick was probably one of the biggest plays the entire game. I thought at first he didn't step out, and then they showed the replay. I was like, oh yeah, no, that's coming back. Like half his foot's out of bounds. I love that he continued to go. He tried to sell it, but I mean, like we said, this is instant reaction. I'm going to steal a line from Zach and say, get the healthy convo going in the comments. Tell us how are y'all feeling? How's Colts Nation feeling? Because we're geeked up.
We want to know your player of the game, man. You type it in the comments. We want to know who you got player of the game. I'm going to give out a game ball. We've never done this on an instant reaction, but it's so cool that we're here together. We don't get to do these very often just because of timing doesn't permit it always. I'm going to ask you to do the same thing, Stephen, before we get off here. I'm going to give out a game ball, and I mean, how easy would it be? You could give it to Carson Wentz. You could give it to Darius Leonard. You could give it to Jonathan Taylor. But for me, I'm going to give it to Michael Pittman for a couple reasons, right? He drew the pass interferences tonight. He caught a big pass early on to kind of get that drive started. He got the game-sealing touchdown. I mean, he went up one-on-one, and he is a dog, D-A-W-G, dog. I mean, when
Mhm.
he ripped that ball out of the air and he took it in, he didn't just go straight to the ground. He knew his team needed him in the biggest moment. Biggest players make the biggest plays in the biggest moments. Game ball goes to Michael Pittman Jr. for me. Where you at, man?
See, I like that. And everyone knows I've joked, I'm a Carson homer. I could pick him. I thought he played a very complete game. Now, I'm gonna go a little bit off of it. I'm gonna give the game ball to Coach Reich. I'm gonna give it to Frank
Okay.
because I thought he rode the line perfectly between aggressive and not too aggressive because there were times he could have chased points. He only did it once. He only chased the points once and it didn't cost us. But
Yeah.
there were moments where he could have tried to go after on a fourth down and he took the points. You know, he called aggressive plays at the right time. And granted, like we always joke too on here, if it didn't work, if that play to Pittman doesn't work, they're gonna gut him for it. But I'm gonna give it to him, man. I thought he coached a great game when it came to playing in a I can't call it a hurricane because I don't think hurricanes don't hit California, but literally a monsoon, and he adjusted on the fly to it. So he gets my game ball.
Fair enough. I mean, I can see that, and I didn't even think of that, to be honest with you. So, guys, what we're asking everybody to do, if you're listening to this, if you're new to the channel, we're asking you to like, rate, review, share, subscribe, comment, and more importantly than anything, just like you see it over here, I believe, join the family, man. I mean, we're just a big old family. That's all we are. We're a Colts community. We use each other's voice to talk throughout the week Colts football because we love football. Instant reaction. We're going to end it like we end most things. I love you. Steven loves you. The Colts love you. Michael Pittman Jr. loves you. And we are out.
Carson Wentz loves you.
Exactly.
Everybody.
We love you.
See y'all.